Once upon a time, deep in the heart of a dense and inaccessible forest, there lived two vampires named Lucian and Serafina. Both vampires were notorious for their insatiable thirst for blood and relentless pursuit of power. Lucian was cunning and manipulative, while Serafina possessed a mesmerizing beauty that could lull even the bravest soul into submission. For centuries, Lucian and Serafina have been roaming the countryside, preying on unsuspecting villagers, leaving behind a trail of destruction and horror. They enjoyed their dark existence, becoming stronger and more confident with each life they took. The village elders, frightened by the reign of terror of the vampire duo, came up with a plan to rid their land of these evil creatures. One fateful night, when Lucian and Serafina were ravaging another village, news reached them of a powerful talisman that would not only grant them eternal life, but also make them invincible. The village elders, desperate to save their community, hid the talisman deep in the heart of the cursed forest, guarded by an insidious maze of traps and supernatural creatures. In an effort to gain this newfound power and dominance, Lucian and Serafina set off on a dangerous journey through the dark forest. As they deepened, it seemed that the elements themselves conspired against them. The air turned icy, and the howls of unknown creatures echoed ominously through the thick fog. However, their greed pushed them forward without stopping before the dangers that awaited them. Finally, after several days of relentless pursuit, the vampires reached the center of the maze, where a talisman radiating an ominous glow stood on a pedestal, invincible with excitement. They simultaneously stretched out their hands to each other to declare their eternity. But the moment their fingers touched the talisman, a powerful surge of energy ran through their bodies. The talisman they didn't know about was a secret weapon created by powerful witches to destroy evil in the world. The vampires' bodies shuddered in excruciating pain as intense light enveloped them, burning through their immortal flesh. As the light faded, Lucian and Serafina realized their worst fears. The talisman did not grant them power over everyone, but instead it deprived them of their vampire powers, turning them into mere mortals. Now they are trapped in an eternal state of weakness and vulnerability, powerless and filled with despair. The once terrifying vampires found themselves endlessly hunted by the very villagers they once terrorized. The situation had changed, and the villagers were enjoying every moment of their revenge. Two vampires who once thought themselves invincible now lived in eternal terror, doomed to eternal torment by those they once persecuted. Thus, their legacy came to a tragic end. The story of Lucian and Serafina, no longer feared and revered, serves as a chilling reminder of the destructive forces that greed and power can unleash. After Lucian and Serafina were stripped of their vampire abilities, they were trapped in an endless nightmare. News of their vulnerability quickly spread through the villages, and the once terrified villagers now saw an opportunity to take revenge. They formed a vengeful mob armed with torches, pitchforks, and burning hatred in their hearts. Under the cover of a moonless night, the villagers descended to the shelter of Lucian and Serafina. The air crackled with anticipation as their torches lit up the darkness. The crowd, fueled by their newfound courage, closed in around the weakened vampires, their anger and rage hidden behind determined faces. The first wave of the attack followed quickly as the villagers rained down a relentless barrage of stones, arrows, and stakes on them. Lucian and Serafina, weakened and defenseless, scrambled, desperately trying to evade the onslaught. Pain pierced their fragile bodies with every blow, but they refused to give up easily. Driven by desperation, Lucian and Serafina fought back, their weakened claws slashing at the attackers. But it was a futile attempt against the huge numbers and burning fury of the crowd. No longer feared or respected, they were now pitiful creatures at the mercy of their hunters. With every passing moment, the villagers became more and more courageous. They surrounded the vampires, closing in tighter and tighter until it was impossible to escape. The crowd tightened their grip on the weapons imbued with hatred, their eyes glittering with a perverted sense of revenge. As dawn began to break through the horizon, the final blow followed. A villager, obsessed with an insatiable thirst for revenge, raised a sharpened stake high above his head, ready to deliver a fatal blow. The villagers held their breath, enjoying this moment of ultimate triumph, ready to rid their land of the monsters that had been chasing them for too long. In one swift movement, the stake pierced Lucian's weakened heart, destroying the last remnants of his eternal life. The blood spilled onto the forest floor, mixing with his life force until it disappeared completely. Serafina, who witnessed the death of her lover, let out an obsessive, mournful cry that echoed through the trees. The once beautiful vampire, deprived of her immortal charm, collapsed to the ground. Her life force dried up. The villagers, unable to contain their triumph, celebrated their victory over the once feared vampires. But while they reveled in their revenge, a lingering darkness enveloped their souls. For the price of their victory was not only the lives of two vampires, but also their own humanity, tainted by the cruelty they wanted to regain their lives. While the villagers were enjoying their supposed victory over Lucian, they did not notice Serafina's disappearance. Her self-preservation instincts kicked in, pushing her through the dense forest with an urgency fueled by fear and desperation. The moon served as her guiding light, allowing her to see the treacherous terrain when she sought refuge away from those who intended to end her life. Serafina was no longer the exquisite beauty who had once captivated those who got in her way. Her appearance has withered. Her once lustrous hair has now lost its shimmering radiance, and her once mesmerizing eyes have lost their radiance. Nevertheless, her determination to escape from the clutches of her pursuers burned brightly in her weakened soul. Days turned into weeks as Serafina traversed harsh landscapes and sought refuge in hidden caves. Where villagers could not find her, she survived on the meager means of subsistence she could get. Her craving for blood constantly reminded her of the strength she had lost. Despite her weakness and on the verge of despair, Serafina refused to accept her tragic fate. She sought solace in the depths of her memories, reliving the days when she and Lucian ruled with an iron grip, but now these memories only caused waves of regret and sadness. Time became an elusive concept while Serafina wandered through the secluded corners of the world, desperately trying to find shelter, and so, one fateful night, fate intervened. This led her to an ancient, forgotten cemetery, where she stumbled upon an old grave, knotted ivy clinging to its moss-covered stone walls. Intrigued and tired, Serafina ventured inside, looking for a brief respite from her eternal torment. As she stepped into the darkness, her gaze was caught by a dusty, ornate coffin standing in the corner. Curiosity stirred in her, forcing her to open it. To her surprise, the coffin contained not a decomposing corpse, but an ancient, withered vampire. The creature named Alistair woke up from a dream, his eyes glazed with a mixture of surprise and curiosity, sensing Serafina's despair. Alistair offered her a glimmer of hope, a chance at redemption. Bound by a common vulnerability, Serafina and Alistair had made an unexpected alliance. Alistair possessed knowledge and ancient wisdom, guiding Serafina along the path to the revival of the lost power. He taught her how to use the vampire's residual powers, bringing her back into the shadows, making her a formidable predator again. Inspired by Alistair's tutelage, Serafina emerged from her seclusion, wandering through the shadows. Wrapped in newfound strength and determination, the villagers, who thought she had been killed, were caught off guard by her unexpected return. Fear was reflected in their hearts when they realized that their archenemy had risen from the ashes, stronger and more ruthless than ever, going in search of revenge, which reflected the thirst of the villagers for retribution. Serafina turned into a creepy ghost, taking revenge on those who hunted her. She unleashed her anger on the villagers, and their horror became a reflection of the fear that she once inspired them. But as the cycle of revenge played out, an emptiness grew in Serafina's soul. The taste of revenge, although it brought short-term satisfaction, could not heal her wounded heart. She realized that her desire for power and thirst for revenge had consumed her, turning her into a monster far beyond her original vampire nature. Tormented by remorse and the severity of her actions, Serafina chose a different path. No longer driven solely by a thirst for revenge, she sought to make amends, to find redemption for the countless lives she had destroyed. Her journey took her to secluded communities where she used her newfound powers to protect the innocent, to protect them from the darkness that lurked beyond their borders. Thus, Serafina's story took an unexpected turn.